Let us give another round of applause to Mr. Smith for his speech this morning, and also to all of our orators who are proudly and boldly able to stand up and give these orations. Now, I don't know about you, but public speaking is not easy. And so it does take an amount of courage to come and stand and speak before people. So I do want to admonish that as well on a great job on your speeches this morning. We will now introduce Mr. James Stukes, who will come up and introduce our speaker for this morning.
Good morning. I want to point out that the extended version of the biography is located in your program, but per request of Dr. Judson, I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit. Dr. Horace A. Judson was born in Miami, Florida, but grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He attended Dillard High School, where he lettered in football, baseball, and track, and graduated as valedictorian. Dr. Judson attended Lincoln University, where he majored in chemistry and graduated with honors. Dr. Judson attended Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and earned a PhD in physical organic chemistry. After Cornell, he served as a faculty member and administrator at Morgan State University for 17 years. He later served at California State University, the State University of New York, Grambling State University, and currently Knoxville College. Dr. Judson has written numerous articles and made several presentations in chemistry, science, education, and higher education. He has served on several boards and in many professional and community organizations. In February 2010, Dr. Judson became president of Knoxville College. He is married to Dr. Gail Shorter Judson, an alumna of Knoxville College. They have 4 daughters, 3 granddaughters, and 2 grandsons. Join me in welcoming to the stage our speaker for the 3rd annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Breakfast Brunch, Dr. Horace A. Judson.
Good morning. I sat there wondering, I don't think you need a speaker after those 3 great presentations by those scholar orators that we just heard from. So I'll follow them and try to summarize all that I've heard from them. Please excuse me, I have a throat problem this morning, and I got a feeling that it's going to get worse as I go along, but bear with me. Thank you. Every year, for the most part, for most of the past 40 years, I've had the privilege of addressing a gathering on this occasion. And I appreciate the kind invitation from the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity to share in this observance today. And again, I want to congratulate and commend those great orators and students who are participating this morning with their talents in honoring and celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. King. At the outset today, I will state what I think is a path forward to complete the realization of Dr. King's dreams. My views are not new. The challenges have not changed, in my opinion. Over the past 45 years, while the realities confronting us are unchanged, in many ways they have become more difficult in 2013. What should be our individual, state, and national focus in order to fulfill the dream? First, citizenship based on responsibility and mutual respect. 2, community based on shared values, recognized commonalities, respected differences, and inclusiveness. 3, education with high standards, committed to quality, accessible and affordable to all. Of course, these require long-term actions and commitments. Our challenges include understanding the gift of our diversity, educating for values and the global society, understanding the changing world and the new realities, accepting our responsibilities as citizens, believing that we have a common destiny. Frankly, I must admit that I've been more optimistic on many previous occasions than I am today about the prospects of our nation, but I remain hopeful as an article of faith. It isn't that we have not made great progress over the past 5 decades. We have. But the idealism of yesteryear for building community seems to have given way to fear, frustration, and alienation, selfishness, and mean-spiritedness. Who would have thought 45 years ago that our political process, the very foundation of our democratic system of governance, would have degenerated to its present state, where character assassination has become commonplace, where deliberate distortions and even outright lies are not only tolerated, but embraced. And we, the citizens, the voters, reward and encourage such political behavior by electing and re-electing politicians who engage in it. While we have seen significant progress for people of color and women and greater access to education, there has been serious retrogressions over the past 2 decades especially. The stark divides are undeniable, regionally, nationally, and ideologically. A few years ago, the country and the world celebrated the election of America's first African-American president. Some believe, however, that the divide significantly increased after that election, or perhaps they just became more evident, and maybe have grown even more after his re-election. The attacks have been uncharacteristic and unprecedented. There has been an unrelenting effort to define this president as the other, one who does not understand American values, as foreign, Islamic, socialistic, a terrorist sympathizer, one who shucks and jives, who is dumb and lazy, the welfare president who stole the re-election. A recent poll, just revealed on this past Thursday, shows that 64% of Republicans still believe this president is hiding something about his early life, even after undergoing 5 years of extraordinary scrutiny. This past week, the NRA ad targeted the president's daughters. Our political discourse has become uncivil in the extreme, and the public square has become a place of abject hostility. There has not only been a continuing disinvestment in education at all levels, but a movement to change academic curricula for ideological and political purposes by revising history, diminishing the role of the civil rights movement and the role of the United Nations, and even attempts to present slavery in a more positive light and reinterpreting the causes of the Civil War. Most serious, in my view, are the attempts, and in some cases successful ones, to substitute religion for science. These ideological attacks on education put the nation's future at serious risk. A 2009 study found that U.S. students ranked 25th among 34 countries in math and science, behind such nations as China, Singapore, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Finland. We rank lower than Canada and Great Britain, and we also rank lower in reading skills. Just 6% of the U.S. students performed at the advanced level on an international exam administered in 56 countries in 2006. That proportion is lower than those achieved by students in 30 other countries. The article goes on to say, American students' low performance and slow progress in math could also threaten the country's economic growth. There are many factors creating fractures in our sense of community. Obstructionist, dysfunctional politics are strong contributors. Indicators include the recent no vote by many Republicans for emergency funding for Hurricane Sandy victims, even by those who had solicited disaster and received disaster funding for their states and districts recently.